Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Wednesday night hobby hangout. I hope you're all right. I hope you all had a lovely weekend as well. Seems I never got to ask you that on Monday. Apologies for our missed stream on Monday, but we're all rocking and rolling back to normal again now. Let's say hello to the lovely people that have come in here. We had Marcus, the Super Pumpkin Man, in nice and early, saying afternoon everybody. Let's try and get a bunch of likes before the video starts and see if we can get Andy to dance. It takes more than likes for me to dance, mate. Lord Maiden, hello to you as well. Mark Wright, good evening. Ortega, hello here in the catch-up, mate. Blizzard is saying good morning, lads and lasses. Nice to see you, Blizz. Connor's in as well. Hello to you. ASDF, good evening, everyone, he says. Blizzard says, what's everyone working on? He's got his dread ballers on the table at the moment. Nice one, fella. Peter Kuhlman, good evening to you. He's working on his Moria Goblins, Lord of the Rings stuff. Yoakum's in as well. He says, good evening, folks. Paintbrush ready, and I hope to make some more progress on my Corvus Cabal tonight. Trying to give them a kind of magpie colour scheme. That's probably exactly the same kind of colour scheme I was going to go for with mine, and I hummed and hawed so long on it that I never actually sort of picked up a brush and touched them, so they're still primed, ready to go. Scott Latham says hi to the hobby hooligans. Hello, Scott. Good evening, Christian, as well. I hope you're well, my friend. John Estel says, evening all. He's working on his Abyss for a martyr, and good to have you back, Andy. It's good to be back, mate. Good to be back. We've got Ruas as well. Says, good evening. Deep Red says, hail and well met all. Good evening to you, sir. We've got ASDF's working on his Lizard Men for the challenge. Jeff Higdon's in as well. Says, good Wednesday to all. Good evening, Mark Berracloth. Hello to Luke Pryor as well. Says, how are we doing? I'm doing all right, mate. Thanks very much for asking. Tony Howell. Good evening, you lovely people. Good evening, Mr. Howell. Tony's been sending me some sneak pictures of his mini swap that I don't think anybody else has seen, and it is looking fantastic. I'm really impressed with what he's been doing. I can't wait for you to all see it so we can talk about it. Bobby Clark, good evening to you, mate. He's finishing off some camo cloaks with a silly number of colours on. You do not disappoint, my friend. We've got Agent Orange, says beard. It's definitely getting a bit of growth on, isn't it? And it's starting to sort of tame itself as well. It's kind of softened up a bit. It's not quite so wild. It does need a trim, but I'm just keeping it growing until I can go to like a proper barber's and get them to kind of shape it properly for me the first time, and then I can maintain it. So it's just going to keep going, I think, until we can get it's going to be probably April before I can do anything with it. We've got Gareth Lewis in as well. Says good evening. Lord Maiden's painting his Dreadball team. He's got 9 models batch painting. I've been batch painting this last few days, mate, and I've been painting all of the Marines in the Indomitus set, and I batch painted them all as an entire box, and got them all done. But that's for a future video, so stay tuned for that one. Peter Nicholas says, please make some space, guys. I'm here now. Nice to see you, Peter. Warwick Dark Edge is in as well. He says, I've got the stream on. He's listening and watching while I look up from building some Necromunda Ogrons. Nice choice, my friend. Marcus says he's got his second COVID shot yesterday. I was fine until about midnight, and then I got the chills and went to bed and overheated using too many blankets, but I'm feeling much better. I guess it's one of those short-term pain for long-term gain, mate. I'm glad that you've had your second shot, and I hope that you very quickly get over any side effects. Mr. Bray, good evening to you, sir. How are you doing? Lord Maiden says, shh, please don't ruin my surprise from Tony. I'm not going to tell you anything about it, mate, other than you will be blown away when it arrives. And Peter Nicholas is saying he hopes that's as bad as it gets. It's his turn next week. Yeah, the way things is going, I can't imagine it'll be too long till the offer comes round. Sean Cole, hello from Portland, Oregon. Nice to see you, Sean. Thank you for joining the chat. So what are we doing tonight then, folks? I'm sure as you saw the thumbnail at the start of the chat, this is the beast that we are painting this evening. And I kind of used a little bit of time this morning just to kind of get some base colours on it. Really, it's a big model. Just to put it into kind of some context, this is Lord Cooper from the Explorers Society, and this is the Malisaurus Rex. So it gives you an idea of the size difference of what they are. So I didn't want to be sitting there with a brush on it all night. So I thought what I'd do is I'd give it some colour, and what I did was I primed it. Obviously it was already kind of like Zenithal primed, but I came in with I think it was Corn Red from underneath, and then I came in from the top with, I think it was Nocturne Green, and then I did a bit of a highlight on the top with Lauren Forest. And it actually, I mean, it was airbrushed, but it looks like it's kind of colour changed. Like it's got a kind of colour change look to it as you kind of tilt it. But yeah, it was all just kind of clever, just simple stuff with an airbrush, really. So yeah, it's that's how we're kind of starting it, really. I'm going to keep it relatively simple. We're going to kind of pick out the spikes and stuff tonight, and the eyes, and kind of focus around the face and the mouth, and try and get as much kind of detail into that. But I'm not going to go overboard with it. I think it's an imposing enough model without having to spend too much time on it. Good morning to VJ. Hope you're well, fella. Warwick said he's had his second shot yesterday as well. No side effects so far. Luke's had his first this morning. Everybody's getting the shots now, James is saying nice one to Luke as well. And Neil Pilot says, cool looking miniature. Shame they've focused more on leg day than arm day. I quite like the look of it. I mean, it is meant to be some kind of like T-Rex type thing. So of course it's got those kind of stumpy little front arms. But I quite like that. I think it's alright. Right, so we might as well crack on. Make a start on it. So, what I'm using is... This might seem like kind of sacrilege here, but I'm going in with a Phoenician purple, and I'm going to paint all of the kind of these big spikes. I'm going to paint them in a purple. I was trying to think what stands out with the green, and obviously with the dark red sort of belly color, if you like. And I was thinking the Joker, kind of green and purple. It almost clashes a little bit, but it goes together as well, if you know what I mean. So that's what we're doing. And worst comes to worst, like always, you can always paint over it. Ed Hanley, good evening to you, mate. He said that's a fun-looking beastie. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, we were painting snakes last week. We're painting dinosaurs this week, so we're mixing it up. Peter says no sign of a shot here, and the bloody things are produced in this country. Yeah, I think unfortunately, mate, it's almost like every country's gone, every country for themselves at the moment, haven't they? So. It's a bit of a lottery at the moment. Anyway, let's start painting some purple spiky bits. Peter says, by the way, my spacebar is iffy on my PC. Maybe you'll notice. Andy Smith, hello Andy Smith, how are you doing, mate? Thank you very much to yourself and your good lady wife and your daughter for joining the Patreon today as well. Hugely appreciated. I must admit I've got a bit of work to do around Patreon, I think, and trying to convince people that it's worth joining. So yeah, it's massively appreciated, mate. And he says I have no pet dinosaurs. Will tarantulas do? You won't believe how many messages I got on Facebook last week, mate. Where people thought that you were spamming the snakes. So I guess if you hadn't been in the live stream, you wouldn't have really understood what it was all about. So, right, let's get cracking on. So yeah, I've been painting quite a bit this week. Obviously, didn't have any internet to stream on Monday due to a bit of a router issue. That's all sorted now, as you can tell. But what I did was to try and make the most of it. I've been continuing painting up the Space Marine half of it, Indomitus, as part of a video. And it's not really kind of like a how to paint Space Marines. There's plenty of videos out there like that. So it's more of a kind of a it's like almost a tutorial in how to get yourself organized to paint an army, as opposed to just kind of painting a couple of models or painting like 10 models like that. Like if you want to get an army to the table relatively quickly, like how do you like, what do you do? What's the steps that you need to look at? So that's what that's how I've kind of framed it. And then essentially what I've done is I've shown a really super quick way to get them on the table fast. So that's the plan. Tony said, I'm sitting on my hands this evening. I can't do any more in my mini till the resin is cured. It's one of them, isn't it? Like, I know exactly what you mean. You get to a point where you're thinking, I'm really enjoying it. I really want to keep going. and sometimes you do have to just kind of sit on your hands and put it down. So, but yeah, it's looking fantastic, mate. I'm honoured to have had a kind of sneak behind the curtain and see the photographs, but I won't say too much because we don't want Ian getting any ideas about it. Peter says it's a gaming laptop and the space bar is used for jumping, so it gets round pretty hard. Who misses? Yeah, I must admit I don't do a lot of gaming on my laptop, and when I do, I tend to plug a controller into it. I'm not a keyboard and mouse kind of a gamer, so. James Brace says, seriously, the Patreon is great. The Discord chat is essentially my social life these days. Great folk, great painting and hobby advice and inspiration. Lots of laughs. I'm glad you feel that you're getting value out of it, mate. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain that really, without having a full video of like, right. So this is what happened. This is what it's all about. I guess what I'd like is I'd kind of like people just to give it a try really and see for themselves, and if they don't like it, they don't like it. But yeah, just to give it a try. It's been nearly a year I've been doing this full time now, and yeah, at some point I have to look at whether it's progressing in the right way kind of thing. So yeah, that point will come at some time. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm trying not to. What I'm trying to do with this purple really is to give it some kind of contrast, because what I don't want to do, I don't want to kind of start. I don't want to wash the whole thing and try and pick out all of the scales and stuff. I want to just try and kind of make it relatively sort of not flat so much, but I'm not going to the trouble to do loads of kind of like shading and highlights and stuff. I might do some highlights on the tips of these spikes, I think, like maybe almost glaze a lighter colour over them towards the end. But yeah, I want to just get some colour on it really, just for a bit of fun. See how it goes. It's nice to paint some different stuff, and I've been looking forward to painting this. But as you know, I have my own little rule about keeping things out of my line of sight, so that I don't kind of get sort of disheartened by the amount of stuff I've got to paint and things. So I tend to kind of move things out of this room. I've got like a little storage place where I keep all my stuff primed and ready to go. And because it hasn't been on my line of sight, if you like, and because I've not been playing any games, some of the stuff I've got's kind of almost been forgotten about. I keep forgetting I've got stuff to paint. So yeah, this morning when I was thinking, right, what shall I paint for the live stream, I had a quick look and I thought, yes, Malisaurus Rex has been sitting unpainted for far too long. So, and also because I've been doing lots of batch painting, it's quite nice to paint something that's just a one-off really. Where was it? Peter saying, at least you must be gaming hard and having fun. You must be to smash that space bar. And he said, I said I'd never do a Patreon thing, but we all enjoy the live shows and how-to vids. Why not? It's pence each a week. Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to kind of. I don't want to come across as like a hard salesman type thing. I'd rather people did it because they wanted to, not because I've kind of like give anybody a hard sell. But I do appreciate that. Sometimes I have to give the kind of the sales pitch, otherwise people don't maybe realise why it's important to me, if you like. But yeah, I honestly do appreciate it. I'm kind of I needed a bit of a lift, I think, this week. So yeah, it was nice. We got a few today actually. David Mackey as well, who's one of our Patreons anyway, but he upped his pledge a little bit as well, which is awesome. Which I think took him into our top tier as well. So he's on the t-shirt list now. So yeah, it's massively appreciated, folks. Peter says, I hate a controller. I guess it depends on what you're used to, being mouse and keyboard for 20 years. Yeah, I guess mine's just, I've never really been a PC gamer, like, in that sort of a way, if you like. I've always played console games, like, right from sort of back in Master System days and Mega Drive and then onto PlayStation and Xbox and stuff. So I've just kind of always used a controller. I was never really into PCs when I was younger. It's only when I got a bit older and I had a few more quid that I could afford to buy like a nice PC, if you like. And I had a nice setup and stuff with like multiple screens and things, but to be honest, like I'd used a controller for so long, I never felt like if I was playing online stuff, I'd rather just use a controller, to be honest. So I've been playing Cyberpunk, for example, and I've been playing that with a like a Windows controller, an Xbox controller plugged in. So I'm sure I'd be better with a keyboard and mouse if I practiced more, but I feel I don't play enough to worry about it these days. Lord Maiden says it's not a one-to-one scale Cthulhu statue, is it? Oh, you'll see when it comes, mate. James says maybe have a Patreon hobby spotlight on one of the streams each week. Just a few pics from what people have been working on from Discord. A good chance to promote the Patreon. Yeah, it's not a bad shout, mate. Actually, I need to kind of. I've thought about doing things like, do I do a little bit like what Tabletop Minions does, where we have like a Patreon only stream once a month and stuff. I always said I wouldn't put things like kind of behind paywalls and stuff, but if it's in addition to what I'm already doing, is it worth doing like a sort of like maybe once a month doing like a Patreon only stream? I feel like we've got quite a few Patreons now. I mean, we've lost a few this month actually, as it happens, but I think we've got like about 113 Patreons or something. So it's enough to make it worthwhile. If I was just like streaming to 10 people or something like that, it might not feel worthwhile, but I feel like we've got enough now that it would be worthwhile doing that. So that, like, maybe at a certain pledge level and above, you get access to the monthly kind of exclusive hangout or something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to do things that, because I do it all on my own as well, I'm trying to do things that just make it easy for me to manage and don't just give me kind of extra work for the sake of it, if you like, that people don't really want. But I think maybe like now we've kind of, like I say, it's almost been a year I've been sort of doing this full time. It's just kind of it's time to reflect, really. I think just time to sort of take stock. How has it grown as a business and that kind of stuff. I'm still enjoying it, which is the main thing, but financially, does it have a future type thing and stuff. John says definitely another vote on how good the Discord is. I feel proper high faulting as a Patreon of a small independent artist too. Do you know what it is, mate? It's like, I mean, that means a lot. It's a funny thing because there's a lot of people kind of start Patreons and things, and they've been doing it 5 minutes and they want to make a few quid out of it and that kind of stuff. And you know, everybody's got their own sort of plans and their own reasons and things. But I think what happens is because there's so many people kind of asking for Patreons or having Patreons, I think people get a little bit tired of it, and it's like a lot of people say it's e-big, and I've had emails, people kind of like slagging it off and saying get a proper job and all this kind of stuff, you know. Stop e-big and get a proper job. That's the one I get. I've had that one a few times. So because not everybody is as nice as you, lad. Let's have a look. Let me just scroll down. Peter says I have trouble negotiating the Discord. I think it's one of them things, mate. You just kind of just need to throw yourself into it and get used to it. I didn't know anything about it at all until VJ kind of convinced me it was a good thing to start a Discord channel. Because I must admit, I just thought it was one more thing to worry about. I'd never sort of I'd never considered it before VJ kind of gave me the nudge, and I'm always appreciative that he did, because I feel like It's a night. Once you get your head around it, because essentially it's just everybody just having a chat, and like we've set it up as different rooms, so like different conversations are happening on different topics. So there's obviously we've just started a 3D printing room in the Discord now as well for those folks talking about 3D printing. There's a one about game design where James Hewitt from Needy Cat Games quite often chats in. Timothy Olicon just become a YouTube member. Thank you very much, Timothy Olicon. Where are we up to? We're up to Timothy Olicon. Hello, mate. He says, "Whoa, that's a super interesting model, and I'm digging that purple." Thank you very much, Timothy, and yeah, thank you for joining the membership as well. This is the Malisaurus Rex from Malifaux for one of the new faction, which is the Explorer Society. I don't know whether you saw it at the start, but this is one of the minis from Malifaux, from that faction. That just gives you an idea of the scale of the thing. And yeah, all I did today was I've gone with a corn red on the underbelly with an airbrush. I went with a nocturne green, kind of a bit like sort of 45 degrees if you like, and then I went with a lighter green, which is the Lauren Forest from the top, and it almost has that kind of like sort of colour change effect to it. And I thought I want something to really kind of stand out, so I was thinking what goes with green, and I was thinking of the Joker at the time from Batman, and yeah, green and purple. So that's what I went with. And I'm trying not to kind of go. I'm not going to go with any kind of super fancy blends or anything like that. I just want to kind of pick out the block colours. We might do a few little bits of washes and maybe some blending on the tops of the spikes and things. But essentially, tonight. I'm just going to kind of chill, have a chat, and just kind of block these base colours in, really. That is the plan. Andy Smith says it's like paying subs at a club. Yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to say. Of course, like, you can for $2 a month, which actually is like, I think it's £2 if you're in the UK or something like that. But I think because of the exchange rate at the moment, and because I do it in dollars, I think even the top one, which is $20, is like 15 quid in the UK. The exchange rate, I must admit, it does have an effect. As the exchange rate changes, I either get more or less money each month. But that's a completely different story. But the way I kind of see it is like, the channel I'm trying to kind of sort of create isn't for everybody. It's never going to be a channel that's like sort of like 40, 50, 60,000 subscribers. I wouldn't think. The idea of it is I want to do the random stuff. I want to do the community stuff. I want to cover some of the games that other people don't cover. I want to talk about things I want to be able to kind of say whatever I want and not worry about sponsored videos from companies and kind of worrying about whether I can say what I want and whether they'll still support me in the future and that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to do something a little bit different, and the Patreon basically is part of that, really. So what I would say is if you want the kind of, if you want the mass market videos and the ones where they're sponsored by Skillshare and all this kind of stuff, or they're sponsored by these 3D printing companies, and because I can do that. But I'm specifically trying to not go down that kind of sponsored video route. I turn down sponsorships because I've always said I want to be sponsor free. I don't want to feel obliged to say nice things about companies because they pay my bills, if you like. So that's why it'll take a little while just to see whether that as a business model works or not. So if what I do and if the things I cover, like things like the what they call the Fight and Fantasy live streams, like most channels are not doing that kind of stuff because they know it just doesn't get the clicks. So anyway, tonight's chat isn't a sales pitch for Patreon or anything like that. It's meant to be a chilled hangout because I missed Monday as well. I missed Monday as well. For those interested, it was my router. BT sent me out a new one the next day. So all's been good since then. It had the dreaded red light of doom. So, alright, let's catch up with some of this chat a bit. Alright! Connor, thank you very much, buddy. That is massive, mate. I wasn't trying to put the pitch in, I apologise. But thank you very much for joining, mate. Marcus is saying I am almost finished with the first of the 2 minis that I'm doing for the mini swap. A nice one. I joined the first mini swap and never got my mini completed because I basically just didn't have the time to to focus on something. So at some point I will join a mini swap again and come in and kind of join in and do one. But I must admit it's really nice to watch everybody else on the Patreon doing it. So for those that don't know what it is, if you join the Patreon, VJ organises a mini swap where everybody that wants to join in basically puts their name in, and you get a random name drawn out. So you have to paint a miniature for somebody else and send it off, and they paint a miniature and send it to you. And the idea is it's based on a theme. I think this month's theme is like tentacles or something like that. So we've had all sorts of kind of like weird themes and stuff like cyberpunk and stuff like that. So and then basically you just you're free to paint whatever you want. So it doesn't have to be for a specific game. It doesn't have to be a specific miniature. You're free just to paint what you like. And I think it's been really nice to watch people just kind of like painting something for the love of doing it for somebody else, kind of, which is really really nice to see. So yeah, if you want to get in on that action, $2 or more a month gets you into the Discord group, into the Patreon chat, and that's where it all happens. That's where it all gets organised, and that's where everybody basically talks about it. So yeah. John Ashley Smith, good evening, says, cool, you're actually painting nice. Yes, mate, yes, I am. Peter says, I seem to have succeeded in clicking the button back into place. Great success, as Borad says. And Warwick says, I've been back playing the original EverQuest for about a month. The game is still fun if you played it before. It's about 22 years old. I'm aware of the game, mate, but I've never played it. I wouldn't even know where to start with that kind of stuff. I've never really been into World of Warcraft or anything like that. I've never been into games where I have to like sink sort of like hours and hours into them. I much prefer playing like sort of faster paced games where I can almost drop in and drop out of them. Things like sort of Call of Duty Online or FIFA or that kind of stuff. Because generally I've got a pretty short attention span when it comes to that kind of stuff. I like kind of like a quick hit and then move on and do something different. And I generally don't have a lot of spare time to play video games, as much as I enjoy them. So I tend to not to play that kind of stuff. I think we were talking about it on a live stream recently. The amount of times I play like an online game, or I play a video game, like something like Elder Scrolls or something, and I play it so infrequently that by the time I come back to play it, I've kind of almost forgotten what the controls are, what mission I'm in the middle of, what kind of like quest I'm busy doing, where have I been, what somebody's told me to do, and the end of I must have reset it and gone back to the start like 5 or 6 times, thinking I really like this game, but I need to kind of commit time to it. So I've enjoyed playing things like Uncharted, like the Nathan Drake stuff. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. I enjoyed Last of Us. Things with a story basically, where I can just kind of maybe play a chapter and then come back to it a bit later. Like I tried playing Red Dead Redemption and it was too slow paced basically. If I only had an hour to play, I was spending that hour kind of like just walking the horse across the map to get to where I wanted to go to. So yeah, certain games suit me for when I'm playing, certain games don't. So I did used to enjoy playing League of Legends quite a bit. I do enjoy that, and even now sometimes, like if I go to bed and I'm not tired kind of thing, and I want to watch a bit of TV in bed, sometimes I'll watch like some of the League of Legends matches and stuff. Not so much these days, but back when they were sort of filling stadiums with the big League of Legends stuff. Ruas says, talking about PC games, Diablo 2 is coming back remastered. I've never played Diablo, mate. Or Diablo 2 for that reason. Or Diablo 3 even. Again, I'm aware of them, but I'm not playing them. John saying, guess I should do something too. Work on my AdMech stuff, Skitarii. Yeah, get it done, mate. Get it done. Get stuck in. I really like this purple, actually. I think it's a brand new... It was a brand new pot of paint that I hadn't actually opened. So when I opened it tonight to put some on my palette, it was still sealed up. So it was quite nice to... it's not something I would use very often. So one thing I've noticed is I invested in buying like a range of paints. And I was thinking, is it the wrong thing to do? Or am I just buying paints that I'll never use? But because they're all kind of laid out in front of me, I feel I'm using more colours and like more variety of colours, as opposed to just kind of always relying upon I call them like my crutch colours, the ones I enjoy painting again and again, if you like. When I had like a limited range of paints, I ended up almost getting stuck in a rut of painting the same kind of sort of colour schemes again and again. And whilst I liked them, it was almost like a confidence thing of just, well, I've got those paints, I don't have other ones, I'll just keep painting them. So now having a full range of stuff to choose from, I feel like I'm kind of a bit more adventurous with things. Marcus is saying his favourite game controller would have been the GameCube controller. It fits my long spider fingers. Other than the Switch that I have, mate, I've never owned a Nintendo. So I've always been a Sega man, and then PlayStation after that. So yeah, I've never played, like, there's loads of Nintendo games I've not played. The only Zelda game I've played has been the one for the Switch. I've played like Luigi's Mansion on the Switch, which I've really enjoyed and stuff, but I've played very little in the way of Nintendo games. Right, to get some of this purple underneath here. Check we've got it on camera as well. Peter says, I actually just plug a PlayStation controller in when my little one wants to play Fall Guys, and even then I just feel miserably. Never played Fall Guys. It was the big thing for a while, wasn't it? Where did that one go to? Go back now. That was where it was. John said, I just came from playing the free COD Cold War multiplayer. I was in heaven, killing and being killed. I really enjoy the Call of Duty games, I'll be honest, but I'm just not very good at them these days. I used to play them a lot. I used to play a lot of kind of Halo 2 online with friends and stuff. I used to play a lot of what was it called again? Titanfall. I used to play all those kind of stuff online, and I was all right, pretty decent at them at the time. But I wasn't doing this hobby back then. I was kind of I was really just playing video games, so I had more time for it. Where these days, I can't remember the last time I switched the PlayStation on to actually play something. My little one's playing things like Roblox and stuff like that now on his iPad. He plays more video games than I ever do now. ASDF says, seriously? I don't know what that was about, that seriously bit. Luke says, I regret sending those emails now. I was having a bad day. I regret sending those emails. I don't know what we're talking about now, mate. I don't know if have I missed a chunk of conversation. We all have bad days, mate. Don't worry about that. I'm sure everybody understands. Everybody's having bad days at the minute. Anyway. We've got Axe and Axin says, hey, BlackJack Arenos. Got down to the bit where Timothy joined as a member as well. Thanks again, Timothy. John saying, I've seen Malifaux miniatures at a local shop, but at $50 a box, I passed. They look pretty wild, lots of chick models, hoping to entice my daughter into the hobby. I would say when Malifaux models first came out, I mean, they're on 3rd edition now. When 1st edition came out, they certainly kind of sort of led the way in female characters. And there was a lot of sort of female gamers actually picked up the game. I remember going to a lot of Malifaux tournaments and events, and there was always like a lot more female gamers than I'd ever experienced for any other game. I don't know what it's like these days, obviously, other than the fact that we've got no real events happening, but I don't know if that's still the case these days. But it certainly was back in 1st edition. And yeah, I mean, you say they're like $50 a box. This is kind of what I mean when people say about Games Workshop stuff being expensive. Like, I think there's a lot of companies that are kind of sort of price themselves alongside what Games Workshop do as well. The difference is for Malifaux, you only need about 10 models. So they might be expensive models, but you don't need a lot to play the game. That's like, I guess that's the trade-off, isn't it? What else we had? Peter Stockdale, good evening to you. Hello to Abusey as well. John says, I liked Modern Warfare Battle Royale, but I'm total shit, so I just dive around trying to run people over. Nowadays, I don't even bother looking for crap. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. Peter says she had seen the Ripley carrying Newt model. I tried his daughter with unicorns and... Yeah, sorry, yeah. Sorry, that was part of another conversation. I had no idea there's now a 3D printing channel on the Discord. That's good to know. Yeah, I think it was VJ asked me to include it. He was sharing some stuff from a I think it was somebody else's Patreon or something like that, or it might have been, I think it was a Patreon where you can kind of obviously sign up and they send 3D models and stuff. And he was wanting to kind of share it and stuff. And even I've been chatting there. I've been looking at 3D printers again recently. But for those that are not in the Patreon chat, I'm stuck in that middle discussion thing now between do I wait and pay more for like a 4K, like an Elegoo Saturn or a Mono X, any cubic Mono X? Do I pay the kind of like £700-800? The prices are quite inflated at the moment because I think they're in short supply. Do I pay that, or do I just basically pay £200 and something and buy like an Elegoo sort of Mars Pro or something like that, which is not 4K. It's not a mono screen, but still has really good quality prints. It's like, do I just get something cheaper and find out whether it's for me really, but then risk buying twice when I decide I want to upgrade in the future. So yeah, if they were a bit closer in price, it would feel like a no-brainer to buy the better version, but they're just a bit expensive at the minute, and I think it's purely just down to the fact that in the UK, obviously all the Brexit stuff and the Corona stuff, and they're just in short supply, so the people that are selling them are like selling them for top dollar at the minute. VGC and so happy the Discord's become such a big part of the community. 3D printing and mini swaps are always fun. Having dedicated space for those is great too. Yeah, 100%. I'm always happy to put more and more channels in there. Anything that's kind of popped up. We've done stuff for like Dread Bowl and Blood Bowl. We've done channels for Kings of War. We've got a Malifaux channel in there. Wild West Exodus. So basically we've got like specific channels for specific games so people can have a chat. And so if you're, like for example, if you don't play AOS or you don't play 40k, you don't have to look in those channels. You don't, like, the people that are enjoying painting those models or playing those games are happily chatting about them in the background. But if there is a game that you play and you want to talk about, like Burrows and Badges or something, for example, or Kings of War, then there's a separate channels for those games as well. So it's almost like what I found with Facebook is it's kind of like it's everything or nothing a little bit with Facebook. You don't get to have a proper conversation with people about stuff, and it's very hard to kind of to backtrack and see what the conversation was about. But with Discord, It just feels like a continuous ongoing conversation that you can jump in and out of at any point. However, because it's split up into different topics, if there's a particular thing that you're not that interested in, or something you're specifically interested in, then you can kind of choose to avoid or to do it. And if people sort of like ask you a question and they tag you in something, you get a little notification to see you've got a message. And I just find it's just a bit easier to organize a group of people and to have conversations with a group of people than something like Facebook is. So Facebook's great for the community page to share pictures and stuff, but it's not the place for kind of like long posts or discussions or anything like that. So yeah, Discord's been a good blessing. Even in my old age, I'm starting to get my head around it. John says his daughter's 15, got her painting some Reaper stuff a couple of years ago, but didn't take then. She wants cutesy stuff to paint. Yeah, I think luckily these days that there is stuff for everybody really. So yeah, if she's interested in painting miniatures, for example, like whatever she wants to paint, you'll find it. And I would also say that's where things like 3D printers really do come into their own, because you're not just limited as to what you can get your hands on in a shop somewhere. There's a whole host of stuff that you can print, or you can get somebody to print for you. So, right. I think these will need a bit of a second coat, so we'll just keep going. Busey saying good call. Tony said I love the mini swaps, they're great fun, it's a nice little gift of giving thing. Yeah, I like that. I think what it does is as well is it brings together the Patreon community as well. I found that like people are kind of forging online friendships through kind of sort of painting minis for each other and stuff, and there's a definite feeling of community around it, because everybody's involved in it. I would hate to try and organise something like that through Facebook. So like even our D&D sessions that we have, like Christian runs, are all like Christian set up his own Discord for our D&D stuff. However, the people that take part in it have all come from the Patreon. So the group we have in our D&D kind of adventure and warband are all Patreon members. So yeah, it's cool how that's all panned out. Andy Smith says the Fighting Fantasy Nights are such a laugh. I love doing them, mate. I love doing them. They don't get many views. They don't necessarily attract any new subscribers to the channel or anything like that. They don't really make me any money, but they're fun, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Really, is that, as I've mentioned before, like if I could get to say 200 Patreons, and then every video I made only ever got 200 videos, but those 200 Patreons were really enjoying what I was doing, then the whole kind of business model works, if you like. I'm not trying to appeal to the mass market. I'm trying to appeal to the community and the people that want to be part of the community, if you like. That's where it's a tough act to balance. I do have to do a bit more like mass market videos now and again and cover the big stuff, because that's how I attract new subscribers. That's how I attract new Patreons in the long run, because I'm still trying to grow it. So it's a balancing act, but essentially what I'm trying to do is create alternative type stuff for people that don't feel sort of catered for online. So because there's loads of channels kind of covering Warhammer 40k stuff. There's loads of channels sort of doing 40k battle reports, but some of the smaller games don't really get a look in. Like even Malifaux. Malifaux is not a small game, but it's very underrepresented when it comes to basically online stuff. And the reason it's underrepresented is because it's catch-22. Like, no, if nobody's making video content for it, nobody's watching it, so then nobody's looking for it, and it's so then they don't get any clicks, and you think, well, I've just put all that effort into making that video, and it's not got any views, so I won't do that again. and then sort of so then nobody makes any content for it. It's kind of self-fulfilling prophecy on that kind of stuff. So yeah, well, I'm just going to keep covering these games, keep covering the stuff that I enjoy, keep sort of bringing you new things. I've got some plans in the background about getting ready for when sort of lockdown expires and I can start to get people playing games at the house and stuff. I'm busy working on sort of making that happen in the background, trying to up my quality and up my game on that. Again, covering games that are maybe don't get covered so much. And like I said before, if a video gets 200 views, but those 200 views are 200 people who are Patreon type things, then the whole thing works. It's not about the views, it's about providing to the community, if you like. Let me skip down here. Connor says, your content is great. It's either £4 for you or £4 on stuff I'll waste. I really appreciate that, mate, because I mean, obviously, like, it's money. Like, people are spending money. I do like realize that it's not like it's free, if you like, to kind of support me, and that this is why I kind of struggle to know how best to kind of sell it, because I don't want to start just making Patreon only videos, certainly not at this stage, because then I'll never be able to attract people to the Patreon. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find a way to make sure I'm giving value to those people. So I'm an engineer by trade. I'm good with stuff. It's understanding the people stuff that I need to get better at. Right. Is it starting to give it a little bit of colour now, isn't it? Let me just get that light a little bit there. Starting to give it a bit of colour. Christian sharing the link for the disc for the Patreon there as well. Thank you very much, mate. Ed says, has anyone seen the Imperium announcement? We've just been chatting about it actually in the Patreon chat in Discord tonight. I think it was Rob Brown that saw it the other day and said it had kind of been leaked a little bit. It looks pretty good. If you're into that kind of stuff, if you like Necrons and you like Space Marines, it looks like it's a nice way to almost like have your own little slow grow type thing. However, what I would say is I always try to understand who those things are aimed at, because the vast majority of people that want to kind of collect Space Marines or Necrons have probably already bought things like the Indomitus set. Like, I almost wish that those kind of sets were something different. Anyway, they are what they are, and I'm sure they're good value. I mean, certainly if you want to just pick up the odd issue here and there when there's a bit of terrain and stuff in it, or specific models that work out way cheaper. John saying, now I ought to put some Genner's Gold on these AdMech dudes. I don't feel like cooking. Connor says, I'm just sat in the League of Legend lobby, can't bring myself to press play. It's like that sometimes, mate, isn't it? Lord Benson says, try the new Ratchet and Clank game. It's one where you can leave it for a while and remind you what you do next. I think at some point I keep thinking, like, shall I even bother picking up a PlayStation 5? And because I kind of like technology stuff, I think at some point I might, but I'm certainly not under any rush to pick it up. The reason I say that is because I know the new Ratchet and Clank game came out on PlayStation 5 as well. So I'd like to. I mean, I've played my my brother-in-law got one on launch day. I've played his, but I wouldn't say there was anything exclusive that's come out that's really sort of where you feel like, my God, I've got to have one of these. This is amazing. And I've felt like that with other consoles in the past. I felt like there's something come out. Like, I remember buying an Xbox One because of Titanfall, because I thought Titanfall looked absolutely amazing. So there have been sort of games that sell the systems in the past. I just feel at the minute that neither Xbox nor PlayStation have really got those sort of killer games. It's almost like they were released before they were really kind of ready. So I'm sure those games will come though as developers get to grips with the the new architecture and stuff. Well, it's starting to come together. I'm going to get a smaller brush and start to pick up some of the smaller spikes. Warwick's in, speaking of Elder Scrolls, I've been considering getting the base box for Call to Arms miniatures game and getting some Northern Alliance minis to use instead of the more expensive ones from it. Now, I must admit, mate, I've never played the game. I saw like kind of the playthrough, the demos of the game when it first came out, and it didn't look like my kind of thing. I think it felt like a lot of bookkeeping, if I remember right. Lots of like custom dice and stuff. I might have got the wrong end of the stick with it, so I'm happy to be proved wrong, but it didn't really float my boat. But I don't think I actually know anybody that's sort of played it to give me like a viewpoint that says, oh, actually I really love it, it's a brilliant game. It feels like something that a little bit like Fallout. It's a game that everybody should have heard of, like everybody's heard of Fallout and everybody's heard of Elder Scrolls, but I don't really hear anybody sort of talking about them games. I feel like the marketing for them is almost like they talk about them when they're new, and then they just basically disappear into the pile of all of these games that are not 40k kind of thing. Let me scroll down a little bit here. Lord Baden saying the 2016 game and not the new one. The new one isn't released yet. Ah, okay, mate. Where are we up to here? I jumped ahead massively there, didn't it? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to catch up on the chat a little bit and have a drink. So let's have a... because I feel like I'm kind of lagging behind on the chat a little bit here tonight. Where are we up to? Ratchet and Clank, got that one. Hobby Disco shit in the way. So, Mark, good evening, mate. He says, I need more contrast. Really enjoying these ones. Yeah, once you start to use them, mate, you definitely you feel like you kind of like experiment with them. That's exactly what happened to me. I had the odd one that I was using for specific jobs, and until I got the full range, then I started experimenting with them. Paul Eamon says, in your position, doing what you do with your channel and painting many different miniatures on the Hobby Hangout, having a full range is probably essential. To be honest, mate, I mean, so essentially because it's part of my business, and in this first year that I'm doing it, I'll be owed tax back from the tax man, because I was paying tax in my old job at the 40% level before I ended, and then obviously I'm not earning much now. So in the full sort of year, I'll be owed some of that tax back. So I thought, well, what I should do is, this is the year I should kind of like buy my raw materials, if you like, buy my what they call it, like my consumable stuff. So that's why I bought like a full range of paint and stuff, because it'll kind of, I'm due some money back, if you like, so I can afford to do it this year. So yeah, so I bought a full range of I like Citadel paints, like I've said before. So I've got a full range of the contrast, a full range of the layer paints, and a full range of the base paints, and they're all here right in front of me. And it's just really helpful to be able to just have a look around. I've got them all in color order. I've got all the names of the paints behind them as well, so they always go back in the right place. And it lets me see the gradient sort of changes in color, if you like, across them. And it's helpful for me to pick those kind of like the three colors for highlights and stuff like that. Peter says Fall Guys is pretty neat. Vijay's saying, okay, Tim, time to head out, do some grocery shopping before he drops a little guy at daycare. Take care, mate. We'll speak later. Hope Lives, thank you very much, mate. I didn't see the donation come in. I'm hugely appreciated. He says, my favourite Hobby Hangout and great folks in the chat. Keep it up, mate, until you're number one. One day, mate. One day. I'm certainly going to stick at it. It's just it's whether I can stick at it as a business long term, or whether I have to just kind of get a proper job and just do this as a bit of a hobby when I get some free time. Peter says the email bit is a joke about the get a real job email from it. Oh, that's what I didn't understand. I didn't understand that. Yeah, do you know it's happened a few times actually? Like people just I mean, everybody knows what my email is. It's on my YouTube channel. If you want to contact me, it's there. Some people contact me and say some nice things, but yeah, I have had the odd email which is like, yeah, get a proper job. If something about it, you shouldn't be asking for money or something like that. If you can't afford to do it, you should just get a proper job. And I'm sure that's what I find that funny, because like that's what people, when people do go to work, they get paid. It's just because I think we're probably 5 years away from this still being seen as an alternative career, if you like. It's getting there, but I think we're still probably another 5 to 10 years away from that being acceptable, especially when you're an old man like me. Vijay says then it's home for games day, doing the Refuge Terror from the Deep and Street Fighter. Nice one. I remember playing Refuge Terror of the Deep. Good game it was, mate. John saying, seeing the model reminds me I need to finish my Manticore. Can you still use an unridden Manticore in Warhammer? I've got no idea, mate. You're asking the wrong person there. Timothy says, how would you describe the gameplay and overall game of Malifaux to someone who's never tried it? It's card based, so you don't roll dice. You have a deck of cards, which makes it really interesting. It almost makes it feel like you're kind of like having a game of poker a little bit. It's weird with a kind of like a deck of cards, so and like pulling the cards out and stuff, and I quite like that aspect to it. The basic rules themselves are pretty straightforward, but each model has a card with different actions that it can take on it, and I think initially it can feel quite overwhelming, even though once you get your head around it, it's not that bad. I think it's just the fact that compared to some other games, because you only have maybe 6 to 10 models, you can get your head around those rules on each card. Once you start to try and take it to a bit of a higher level, if you like, a bit more competitive, it's really the interaction between models and like, okay, so I can use this I can use this trigger on this kind of card, I can use this action which will affect another model on the board, which will allow them to do an extra action, or it might make them shoot further, or that kind of stuff. So it's really, I like the fact that it's quite narrative. All of the stuff is based around the storylines and stuff, so that the models in the game act like they do in the stories. It's really kind of like sort of narrative in that respect. The rule set's really tight. It's played on a 4x4 area, so it's not a huge playing surface or anything like that. And it's all kind of scenario based, so it's not just about like I need to kill more models than you do. It's not just, sometimes you're actively avoiding killing other people's models. You don't want to kill them. It's just about sort of achieving scenarios. Strategies and schemes are the things that are called. The strategy kind of is the scenario, and the scheme is like a hidden agenda that you have in the game that you keep hidden from me, and you're trying to achieve that, which makes it quite interesting and quite unique. So I wouldn't recommend it to somebody that's never played a miniatures game before, but if you've played miniatures games and you know your way around, like kind of, like looking at stats on cards and stuff, and being able to kind of look on the card and understand how rules are written, I think it's a really, really, really good game. Luke says he's very close to getting a printer. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. Luke says, I think I want to wait for the Saturn. I think I did as well, mate, but what's kind of sticking in my throat is they're so expensive now compared to how much they were when they first went on sale, because they're basically just getting like gobbled up, and anybody that is selling them wants like 800 quid for them now, and I think they went on sale about 400 or 500 quid originally, and I don't know how long I have to wait for that kind of stuff. Like, that's what I mean about, is it worth me getting like a cheap one in the short term to give it a try? Really, it might not be for me. It might be something that I don't want to be messing about with. And then I see things like what Christian printed for me, like my Deadpool stuff and that, and the quality is absolutely fantastic. And I think, if I remember right, that's from Elgoo Mars. It wasn't from one of the newer ones. So it's not like the old ones have bad quality. I think that's what's kind of confusing me a bit. Luke says I might have to get in on a 3D printer chat. Yeah, do it, mate. Hope Liv says I really want to get into 3D printing, but I don't use VR headset because it's just not plug and play. I think the same for 3D printing for me at the minute. I've got a VR headset actually, and it's for PlayStation though, but it kind of is plug and play. That's the thing. My son's got like some fancy, I forget what he's got. He hasn't got Oculus One. He's got, I can't remember what it is. He's got another fancy headset stuff for his PC, and I think the original one he had's got like cameras in the corner of the room or sensors in the corner of the room and stuff. And his new one's like an upgrade on that. I think it's not wireless, but I think it's kind of, there's a lot less contact in it. I think they're getting better, the headset stuff, but I must admit I really like VR in gaming. ASDF says he needs to head out. Catch you in the replay. Thank you very much, mate. I hope Liv says but watching, not but watching. Yeah. Freudian slip, mate, there. John Ashley says, if I had the extra $50 the day I saw the Malifaux boxes, I would have got one. I was focused that day on tiny tanks from Drop Zone Commander, and I don't even play it. Busey says, I was thinking that, but I don't regret buying the Mars Pro. That's kind of where my head's at, mate. If anything, it's given me a good learning curve. Maybe further down the line I'll upgrade. I think that's where my head's heading to, really. About, other than the bigger build plate, which I think is the big bonus for getting something like a Saturn. Do I really need it? Like I appreciate like not buying the cheaper one. Like, so if I don't spend 250 quid on the cheaper one, that's 250 quid I could put towards the bigger one, if you like, rather than buying twice. Andy Smith says, how do we get in the Discord? You should have had a link, mate, when you joined the Patreon. If not, if you look in the if you go to Patreon and look in the comments in the posts, there's a one that has the link to Patreon, mate. If by the end of the stream you've not managed to find it, mate, I'll send you a link to it. Tony says, I don't play anything, so I like it in all the groups. A bit like me, I think. Christian saying 3D printing's never going to be plug and play like people want it to be. The closest you're going to get is now with pre-supported models. That's where I think it is, mate, to be honest. I mean, people who say like 3D printing's going to kill Games Workshop and stuff, I don't like. That's like saying casting your own models, like casting your own metal models, or like recasting's going to kill them as well. There will always be people that will do it, but it's not like, it's not quick, it's not easy. You still need to like sort of put a bit of work in it. And people say it's like another hobby, and it can be, but I think you don't have to make it another hobby. Luke says, this group has absolutely made me online friends. Me as well, to be honest. It's the only friends I have, mate, to be fair. John said, I haven't played 40k since 3rd edition. The group I was playing with were too pissed at all the rule changes. I think that's kind of one of those things, isn't it? People, if you're playing a big group and enough people kind of decide to wander off, you can get left with a lot of expensive models that don't get used anymore. Online people I would meet up with in the flesh and a heartbeat. One day, hopefully. Yeah. Trexon Kovacs says, wow, that model looks awesome. Yeah, it's not a bad little beast, is it? Not a bad little beast. John saying, mainly music is the term you're searching for to describe my one on Musk. I thought it said music there. Let me get 20 cents. A nice model, and BlackJack's doing a lovely job with it. Thank you very much, mate. I'll skip ahead a little bit. Christian's sharing the link to the BlackJack Legacy t-shirts and hoodies as well. Thank you very much, mate. Truskson says, is Malifaux more or less complicated than Infinity? I would say it's less complicated than Infinity. I find the Infinity base rules are pretty straightforward. I think what complicates Infinity for me is the amount of different weapon options and some of the strange names that don't like sort of roll off the tongue, if you like. I would say Malifaux it's not a simple game, Malifaux, but I would say it was more straightforward than Infinity personally. Bobby Clark said, I'm a tad jealous. There's never enough spare time for me to get involved in Discord. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean. I have to kind of sometimes make time for it, because when I had a 9-to-5 job and somebody else was paying my wages, it was quite easy just to kind of slope off for a cup of coffee and just spend a bit of time in the Patreon chat. Where now I have to actually work for a living and try and kind of keep. If I don't work, then I don't make videos, and then there's nothing for anybody to back me for. I do find that I sometimes I have to make a point of kind of like, or I haven't been in the Patreon today or something. Like I haven't been in the Discord chat today. I really do need to go in and kind of catch up with folks and see what's happening and make myself available if you like as well. I mean, I love being in there. It's not like it's a chore or anything like that, but it's just that my days are busy between looking after the little one when he's finished at nursery and actually trying to get some work done as well. It's quite busy at times. Right, we'll crack on and we'll get some of these smaller bits done. There's quite a lot on the back of the head there that I want to get to. You should be able to see. You will do when I get under there. Hope lives the scene. Don't have either, but I've had a look at the rules list and I think Malifaux is more intuitive. Infinity for me is a bit confusing. Do you know? I'll be honest. I actually don't think Infinity is a difficult rule set, and I know that can be kind of controversial at times to say that. I think for me, Infinity is sometimes it's like drinking from a fire hose. Like it doesn't really ease you in. It feels like it gives you everything in one go. And there's some relatively confusing kind of terms, and I think it's because it's so different to a lot of games that nothing feels kind of intuitive. But actually it's not that bad a game. And I said this in my Code 1 review, to be honest, it's because everything that's available in the game is in the rulebook. So it's not like 40k where you get the rule book and you read through it, and then you get a codex and you read what your army can do, and then maybe you want to get a codex to see what your opponent's army can do. It basically just goes, here's everything, and that's quite when you're brand new to a game. The way the rule book's laid out is it almost tries to teach you stuff that you'll probably never use in the game. Like if you pick a pretty straightforward starter list, you're not going to be using multispectral visors and sort of hacking holograms and all sorts of stuff. But the way the rules are laid out, it makes you learn everything before you've even sort of played a game and understand, oh, actually that's not actually important, that's not relevant. Like, for example, you can be learning about certain abilities in the rule book and then find that the faction that you've chose don't have any models that have that ability. So it was irrelevant to you, and you probably could have sort of had a bit less confusion by not learning that bit. That's where I find Infinity is difficult and confusing. I wish the rule books were laid out better, and I said that in my review video. So got a few little bits here on the back as well, just to tidy up. If I missed any bits, there's a few on the nose here. We might as well pick those up as well. I need to decide what to do with the. I was thinking originally of doing like the tongue coming out purple as well, but I think it'll be a bit too much purple in that instance. Right, have I missed any bits? I think there's always going to be the odd one where I find I've not done it, or I've not quite got down to the bottoms of the spikes of stuff, or I've only done one side, but that'll do us for now. Right, I think we focus on the face now, folks. Let's have a look. Where are we up to with the chat? Trexton saying, yeah, Infinity played a few games of it, haven't played Malifaux. Infinity feels pretty damn punishing. I think that's the other side of it as well, is because it's quite brutal. I mean, Infinity is about sort of killing other models and stuff, and if you're not really sure what you're doing, as soon as you put yourself out in the open, you're kind of shot off the board, aren't you? So it can be quite brutal in that respect. Let's have a look here. Lord Baden says you mean 3 by. Oh, did I say 4x4? I meant 3x3, mate. Yeah, I thought. Sorry, I thought I'd said 3x3. Yes, it is 3x3, not 4x4. Connor saying, think about Kill Team Pariah through your Goblin link too. Do you know what it is, mate? I personally don't think it's worth the money, but for those that do and feel they'll get value out of it, shopping through the Goblin gaming link and getting 20% off it, it's the best way to do it, mate. Save as much as you can. Ed says it looks like Imperium will have some sisters and Admech mixed in. I saw that in the little symbol thing, but I've seen a picture online today which shows all of the models that's in the range, and I must admit, unless I miss I didn't see them in the pictures, but maybe I just didn't see them very well. John saying the GW kits I've bought in the last few years are all over the place. Severe lack of discipline and focus. I think that's why people get kind of caught up in the GW stuff's really expensive. It's because actually if you were just playing one army and you just collected one army, you'd probably find it wouldn't be as bad as all that, but everybody does. Everybody buys the big shiny stuff, they buy the nice stuff, they buy the new box sets, they buy the things they like the look of. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. It's your hobby, you enjoy it however you want to enjoy it, mate. Peter saying you've got his 1,000 points and Necrons done now. They're not amazing, but for first minis he's pretty proud of them. Good one, Peter. John saying a good portion of his paint collection is still Tamiya acrylics, which are crap for miniatures. And own Humbrol enamels. I used to have the old Humbrol enamels as well when I was a kid. Red Rose Wargame, and good evening, Anna. How are you doing? Nice to see you. John saying hopefully you'll be playing Gaslands this weekend. Such a fun game. Gives me an excuse to use up some of the mountainous spare parts and junk. I don't have any spare parts. I must be doing it wrong. James is saying having the same argument that you're having about 3D printers about getting an electric bike. Interesting, mate. I don't know much about electric bikes. I've got a really nice mountain bike that I hardly ever use, to be fair, mate. I should start using that first. Christian sharing the link for getting some Blackjack Legacy merch as well. Thank you very much. Luke saying the only reason I will be waiting for a good price on the Saturn is the bigger print bed. I've waited this long, so who knows, but the urge to pull the trigger is getting stronger. I'm just not sure I'll ever use the bigger print bed on a frequency, on a often enough reason to really get the most out of it. Luke's saying, yeah, what do you recommend? Luke's saying, I mean over each other. Axe and Axe says, few I'm done priming a bajillion Flames of War tanks. Nice one. Christian saying, Elegoo official store on Amazon tend to get stock of Saturns every 4-6 months, but a Mars 2 Pro will be enough for most prints. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking, to be honest. I mean, I was watching a review the other day which compared a Mars Pro and a Mars 2 Pro, and they actually recommended going for the Mars Pro over the Mars 2 Pro, because what they were saying was that I think the 2 Pro has a mono screen, but the mono screen is it's flush at the bottom of the bed there. I think the Pro and the Mars have a glass plate across them to kind of protect it and stuff. And they were saying there was a few other bits and pieces, but I'll need to look into that. Johnson, he's got loads of Citadel paints too. Have been recently buying the odd AK paint as they're becoming more widely available in local shops. Can't do the e-commerce thing, no means. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I've always stuck to Citadel, mate, is because I can buy online, but generally what will happen is I'll run out of one paint, so I'll want to replace that one paint, and I don't fancy spending more in postage for a pot of paint than I do for the pot of paint itself. So I tend to just sort of shop local, and the local shops to me sell Citadel stuff. Paul saying, don't wait for the Saturn, you don't need it. The Elegoo Mars Pro can print down to 50 micron layer heights, although the standard 80 gives you amazing results. Saturn would only give you a bigger print bed. That's kind of what I'm thinking, mate. I mean, yes, it's 4K, but from what I've seen of normal Mars and Mars Pros, the quality is more than good enough for what I would need. It's slightly faster because of the mono screen, but generally I'd be kind of setting it away in the background and leaving it probably overnight, so that even the speed's not if it cut it down from 5 hours to 20 minutes, I can see that the speed's kind of a big bonus. But when it's cutting it down from 5 hours to maybe 4 hours or something, it's not a huge saving that I would be. It's not like I'm waiting for it to come off because I need it for something. I just kind of set it away when I go to bed or something and kind of get it the next day. Dave Mackay, hello Dave, how are you doing, mate? Thank you very much for upping your pledge today as well. Thank you. Your name was on the screen earlier and then dropped off. He says, I recommend an Elegoo Mars 2 Pro. I'm having great fun with them. Yeah, I must admit, that's kind of what I'm looking at as well. Red Rose is saying desperate for lockdown to end so we can get back playing. 100%, I'm with you on that one, Anna. Dave Mackay says, I've seen people struggle with the larger build plate. Bigger the FEP, the further it has to move when printing. I've heard about people getting failed prints on the bigger ones as well, and I don't know if that's people just getting used to them or whether it's like some inherent issues with the first wave of 4K ones. Red Rose is saying, I have an Apex X1, definitely worth starting on a small build plate. Good what's the word? Advice, that's the word I was looking for. Luke, Christian's having a chat there as well. Luke's in Elegoo, definitely where he's leaning. Ian says, I've had issues with inks and paints not concealing 50 micron layer height well enough. 30 has been amazing though. Inks and paints not concealing 50 micron layer height. Certainly the stuff that I've painted, the people have sent me resin 3D printed stuff, be it for reviewing games, you know, if it's a Kickstarter game and they haven't got the proper sculpt yet and they've printed stuff off. Christian sent me some stuff. They certainly haven't been from kind of high-end printers, if you like, and the ones I've had in the past were before 4K printers were out, and I've had no issues at all kind of painting sort of miniatures at that level. So maybe I've just been really lucky with what I've been sent. Marcus is saying, yeah, I would work with a pewter spin caster to make 50mm historical minis. While running it was easy, but making models and minis and everything involved is hard and extremely expensive. Yeah. One thing Christian's saying about Elegoo seemed to be easier to get the machines and parts for a decent price. That was one of the things I was looking at, mate. I certainly seemed to be easier to get the like spares, like extra, like what they're called, like the resin beds, the resin baths, and the screens and stuff like that as well. Right, I think we're gonna go with a bit of Screamer pink, and we're gonna paint inside the kind of inside the mouth here. I think we're gonna start working on the mouth and the tongue area. Right. Axon Axis, strange names that don't roll off the tongue, you say. Yeah, so what I mean is, like in Infinity, when you have things like the Ken2, Shubai and all this, or is it whatever they're called, there's like a lot of like Japanese names. Sundid Saig, thank you very much. Says, good morning. Meant to send this last... Whoops, what did that say? Meant to send this last time, but YouTube was being difficult for the Cursed City Fund. Thank you very much, mate. Hopefully we start to get some pre-orders for that. For those that didn't see, there was a bit of a leak online. Well, it wasn't leaked. I think it was actually, it was on their website, and it shouldn't have been, about the Cursed City novel coming out in March, which would suggest it comes out the same weekend as Cursed City the game. So I think we're not far away from it. I've been checking the pre-orders for Games Workshop on Monday. It's not in next week's pre-order. So potentially I'll check again on Monday, because basically Monday is when they update their pre-order stuff, and I have access to see what's up for pre-order. And I know the shops obviously must fear they don't want to be leaking the information in case Games Workshop kind of spit the dummy out and stop trading with them. But I don't have any affiliation with them. Like I have access to it, so, and I don't run a shop, so if I get to see it, you will certainly know. As soon as I have the dates for pre-order and the pricing, I will be sharing it with you all. It's another one of the reasons why I don't feel the need to kind of reach out to Games Workshop to get free, kind of get stuff early and things. It allows me to kind of talk about. It allows me to talk about leaks. It allows me to talk about sort of stronger opinions. It allows me to discuss them freely without worrying about or they might not send me that latest box set. Right, I appreciate this looks a little bit bright at the minute, but it won't be so bad once we we wash it down and kind of colour it and stuff. It looks a bit, looks like really bad lipstick at the minute. Where are we up to here? Bit of chat. Andy Smith says, I honestly think that Infinity is straightforward, but I haven't done many others. I like it. It's reactive. I like the rules to it, mate. But it's just very different to other games in that respect, and it is quite brutal. It's one of those things like, if you don't know what you're doing, you will very quickly get shot off the table. So it's got a bit of a steep learning curve for beginners. Obviously, it depends on who you're playing with, but I just find that when you're presented with all of the information in one big sort of chunk, the way it's presented to you in the books, I just find it's a bit overwhelming at times. Right, how are we going to do this? What colour should I be? I think those lips might be maybe it's like a darker green or something like that on the lips. But we'll put those bits into there first. Right, the tongue. What colour am I going to do the tongue? I feel like the tongue maybe should be that pink colour, and then but obviously not like washed down the same as the kind of like the skin bits. I think I'm going to do the tongue the same colour, and then one of them will be washed down and one of them will be highlighted up, so they won't be the same colour by the end. Get in there and get the tongue's pretty cool. Like, to be honest, it's got like all sorts of tentacly type stuff in it. John says, was Infinity written initially in English? If so, was the translation of technical terms of the problems? It wasn't originally written in English, mate. The company is Spanish, so it's not. But it's not so much the language change, because I know Batman Miniatures games struggled from that. There was a bit of that in the original Infinity rules, but we're on to like N4 now, which is like the 4th edition of it, and their English is pretty good, to be fair. It's more about the layout of the rules. There's a lot of repetition in the rule book where it talks about something which I think you're not ready to be reading about because you don't know enough other stuff, and then later on in the book it talks about it again when it comes to that section, and that's probably where you should have been reading about it. So there was no need to read it twice, kind of thing. And it's just some of the terms are not, like obviously like the way the game is set. It's set in an alternative future, and you've got all the different nations of the world. So there's sort of French sounding names, there's Japanese sounding names, there's obviously Spanish sounding names. There's obviously some very kind of sci-fi, futuristic, like sort of like made up type thing, like multi-spectral visors and stuff is one of the ability things that some models can take. I'm sure it's the same in 40k and stuff when you first start. Like, you don't know what the difference between a plasma gun is and like a multi-melter and a combi melter and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure it's the same as that. It's just it just feels a bit more complex when you first sort of subject to it. It's definitely one of them games where if somebody sits you down and takes you through a demo, you'll probably pick it up no problem at all. But if you're trying to learn it from the rule book, it's quite hard going, because I think if you learn it from a demo, the people that will teach you won't teach you all the stuff you don't need to know. But the book isn't laid out like that. The book is laid out where you basically you get everything thrown at you. It feels like it's been written and proofread by people who know the rules inside out, as opposed to kind of proofread by somebody who has never experienced the game before and then went like, well what does that mean? Like, I don't know what that is. Like, why are you telling me about that? I don't need to know that yet, kind of thing. I would love to proofread books for companies, to be able to read through it, like almost with no experience. The rules are written, they've been finalised. Right, we're at that stage now where we need to kind of read the book to say, is it understandable for people reading it for the first time? Because I think too many games and too many rule books have the assumption that the people reading them already know how to play the game, or they've played the first edition, or they play another game by the company where the kind of the mechanics are quite commonplace across all of their games or something like that. John says, anybody like mecha games like BattleTech or Heavy Gear? Heavy Gear plays better in my opinion. BattleTech is derisively referred to as accounting tech. I've never played either of them, mate, but that's the understanding I have about BattleTech as well, is that it's quite bookkeeping heavy. John says, Infinity seems inscrutable to me anyway, even after watching some battle reports. Yeah, I think, again, I think with the battle reports, they're created by people who know the game inside out, for people who know the game inside out. Right, let's have a little look here. Where are we up to? Right, I'm going to catch back a little bit. Right, I'll dive back in a little bit. Axon says he's big on Alpha Strike. Andy says being taught Infinity rather than reading makes it so much easier. Yeah, see Fast Panda on YouTube. I'm on it with my Tartary course as a beginner. Yeah, I think that's the same for a lot of games, mate, to be fair. I think unfortunately at the minute, people are not getting the chance to play games to be able to kind of be taught them. Where were we up to there? Red Rose Wargaming, have you ever done a video on Conflict 47? Alan's trying to get me to play it. I've not. I mean, it's essentially first edition bolt action, isn't it? I think with some kind of weird World War II stuff in it. But no, I've not done anything on it before. Tasty Brain Drain, good evening. Paul saying with Infinity, best way to get into it is to get whatever current starter set is and play through the introductory missions. The problem is, mate, I don't disagree with you. The problem is the introductory book does take you by the introductory missions do take you by the hand and learn you a little bit at a time. But then the gap from mission 5, like the last mission in that set, to playing full N4 rules is like a chasm like leap. It's almost like, right, I'll show you this little bit, I'll show you this little bit, I'll show you this little bit. Are you happy with that? Right, now here's this massive rule book. And that's always how I felt Infinity. And I was looking forward to Code 1 because I thought Code 1 was going to be a really kind of scaled back version. And I'm sure if you play N3 or N4, you will probably think it is a scaled back version. But it's almost, they scaled it back in the number of models available by limiting the factions, but they didn't really scale back the rules enough. They could have made it a lot more simplified, I think. But I'm coming as somebody who doesn't play it on a regular basis. Tony Bouvleiden, hello mate. He's loving the way that purple is working out in that model. What primer is under there? So originally, mate, it was just zenithal primed, like just sort of black and white over the top. And then what I did was I primed the bottom of the model with Corn Red. I then did the top of the model with, if I can see my paint, Nocturne Green, and then I kind of highlighted the top of it with Lauren Forest. So it's kind of it's almost got that kind of color changing look to it. And I felt like the purple kind of goes okay with the red, and the purple and the green's got that kind of clash, a bit like the Joker type thing. So I'm thinking I'm trying to keep that. That's why I think the pink goes well with the red underneath as well, and we'll darken down the I don't know, are they called the jowls or the stuff at the side? We'll darken them down, and we'll highlight up the tongues and stuff like that, and we'll bring them to life a little bit once that dries. John's saying he's got 75 painted metal miniatures for BattleTech, plus a whack of infantry and tanks. No aircraft though. I don't know anything about BattleTech, if I'm honest. Blizzard says, I think I've got my Dreadball team sorted. Not sure how to paint the bases. I don't have a pitch to match them to. I just painted mine just grey, mate. I think just plain grey. I wouldn't even worry about trying to match them to the pitch. Ed saying, if you're into arena style kill team and have or want both Astartes and Necrons, Pariah Nexus is great value. It's decent if only two of those things are true. I think the issue with it, mate, is I personally don't think there's enough models in it to be a true kill team expansion. I think you're still going to have to add to it. That's the problem. Like if you bought Catacombs for Warcry, there were 2 full warbands in that set, and I don't think that's the case for kill team, unfortunately. But to be honest, and I said this in the Patreon chat the other day, I'm a little bit tired, if I'm honest, of all the YouTube channels that got this early and then basically kind of made a video that said it's too expensive, the stuff's not worth it, the things that are in it are not worth the money. Because we all knew that before it came out. You either knew you wanted it for the contents, because we all knew what the contents were because GW had shared it, and we all knew what the price was because we all get to find out when it's up for pre-order. So those videos are not really that helpful. What I would have liked to have seen was more videos telling me what the gameplay was like, telling me what the missions were like. Is it fun? Is it like let's ignore competitive stuff. Let's ignore like whether the two warbands are balanced inside. Like, are the missions that come in the box playable with the models that come in the box, and are they fun? There's only Guerrilla Miniature Games, I think, who made a video about playing the game. I'd like to see more channels instead of just being rushing to be first on the Saturday morning when pre-orders go live. I'd like to see more channels actually reviewing them, actually taking the time to look at the content and actually give an opinion on everything that's in there, because it is a game. You're like it might be £95 or whatever it is, but you are purchasing a mission pack. You're purchasing an expansion, and I think the people that have reviewed it so far have essentially said, well, you're only going to buy this for the Marines, so it's too expensive for what it is, and you can't play it because it doesn't come with the core rules. And it's like, well, we knew it didn't come with the core rules. We knew it was just an expansion. I'd like to know more about actually what's the missions like. Like, is it worth the money? Because actually the missions are a lot of fun, and the board looks quite nice, and does it work well with the terrain that's in there? Yes, it's not as good value as the original kill team and all that kind of stuff, but you have to there has to be some value placed upon the playing experience as well. If you're just buying it for the miniatures, then you don't need a review. You already know what's in there, and you already know what it costs. But if you're wanting to purchase it for the content, for the actual playing experience, none of those channels are giving you any kind of a basis to make that purchase decision on. John says, any game that can't be explained without reading the rulebook fully is a real hard sell, unfortunately. The guys I'm playing with hate reading. I think any game can be played without reading the rulebook, as long as the person explaining it knows it inside out. Somebody has to read the rulebook. Somebody has to know the game inside out. Be that 40k, be it Walking Dead, be it Infinity. All games, like, yes, it's easier to learn a game when somebody teaches you, but they need to know it inside out. So somebody has to know it, basically. Marcus says, if that's true, I'm an odd duck, since while there are a bunch of models I like from GW, I stick to the armies I play. I think, generally, I kind of would say the same thing as well. I jump around between games, but if I'm playing a particular faction, I'll tend to stick to that faction. Peter says, yeah, spare parts, like with historical models. Let's put this wacky head in this sprue because it's the first off which I like. Yeah, I wore that hat. Paul saying you can print standard miniatures in 2.5 to 3 hours. Yeah. Dave saying mono screens last longer as well. Yeah, I'm sure they do, mate, but like the replacement screens on the non-mono ones are about like 26 quid or something like that, and it's not like they last like a couple of days. Like they last thousands of hours, don't they? Busey saying Amazon had an offer on the Mars Pro the other week for €185. I think I'll have to just kind of hang on and maybe look for an offer. John saying most of his spares come from 135 scale tanks. And other John saying, yeah, sometimes go for one paint at the local shop and come home with 5 paints and 2 brushes and some licorice also. It's on a new doorbell, but that's just boys for you. Luke saying, the other thing I'm struggling to understand is now how many prints you get out of a bottle of resin. There was a video I saw the other day actually which showed how much do you get, how much can you print out of a bottle of resin. Jim says, I get lazy and stop using a wet palette, and then when I start again I fall back in love with it. My new red grass one is very nice. I saw you bought the red grass one, mate. Yeah, I've got the army painter one, and yeah, I'm quite happily painting away using that. Right, that seems to have dried enough that I can. We'll get a bit of a. Oh, let's get the old magic out, Agrax. We're going to put a bit of wash into the side of the mouth there. I'll try and catch up on some of the chat as well because I'm falling well behind. Sunday site with his donation there, thank you very much. People chatting about 3D printing and stuff. James saying, shouldn't it be red? I think it's like kind of like, I think we're talking about the side bits there. It's just like skin stretch, isn't it really? Marcus is saying, try a pink to flesh to bright yellow. Yellow. Yeah, maybe on the tongues, maybe, mate, yeah. Bit of resin chart, bit of 3D chart. We've also got Colton Lane. Says this fella's looking snazzy. Nice to see you, Colton. Hope you're well, fella. Accent says, I always fall asleep when I try to read rules. I think parenthood is to blame. Yeah, it's the thing is though. I mean, we all say that, but you do have to be able to read the rules to play a game. That's just part and parcel of playing games. I think what happens, I think we generally kind of get a bit lazy when it comes to games because we're so used to just turning up to a club or a shop or something and having somebody teach us how to play. But somebody has to be the person that understands it. Somebody's got to be the first person to play. And I always read the rule books because if I'm reviewing something, like if I can't understand the rules from reading them, it doesn't matter how easy it is to learn from somebody else telling you about it. Like then that's a bad situation. That basically the rules are not simple enough to understand. So yeah, I always read the rule books, and if I can read it and understand it, then that's a pretty good sign that that most other people will be able to too. Right, I am going to just put a very thin line of just shade down here. And we'll blend that in a little bit as well, but just gives us a nice little bit of shade in it here. Right, I think what we'll do is we'll start to pick out some of the teeth there while we're waiting for that to dry. Skip ahead. Wesley Favreau, hello Wesley, says thanks for doing your video on a cheap airbrush. I picked one up from your recommendation. Thank you very much, mate. I hope you enjoy it. What else we're talking about here? Just skipping ahead, trying to catch up on some of the chat now. Bit of BattleTech chat. Tasty Brain says I still have my Ral Partha Hatchet Man BattleTech Mini I got at high school. Wow. Jez Hunt says, evening folks, nice lizard. Thank you very much, Jez. And Scott saying, all the base colours on my Dreadball team, so it's a wash, highlight, and then base left. That's the way to do it, mate. Wash and highlight. That's the way to do it. Right. I think what we'll do is, I think we'll come in with, we'll use Morghast Bone, I think, for the teeth, just to pick it out. We'll probably wash them down and highlight them and stuff like that, because I am going to spend a little bit more time on the model, like around the mouth area and the eyes, because I think that I can kind of get away with not really doing too much with the bodywork. If I focus on those areas. Scott's saying he loves contrast too. Yeah, nothing wrong with contrast paints, mate. Right. Ian says, I love a good rule book. I have far more rule books in systems I've never gotten to play than those I have. Really enjoy seeing new rules and mechanics to stimulate actions in games. I tend to like reading a rule book because I like reading the background stories. Like that can inspire me more to play a game. Oh, I missed a bit of the tongue there as well. That can inspire me more to play the game, to be honest. If the rule book's give me some good background lore. Andrew Fairbanks, hello fellas, says, don't worry, I'm here. With the Lance, he has strep. Otherwise, he would say hi. Well, hello to you and hello to Lance as well. We're just picking out those teeth there. Yoakum saying, I mostly play games with my brother and my sons. They just like playing and painting minis. So I have to learn the rules and build the models and then teach them the rules. I'm glad someone to play with. Yeah, that exactly, mate. If I want my older sons, or if I want my wife to be able to play a game with me, it's my responsibility to read that rule book and to understand the rules. And they don't want to be sitting down like sort of having a 2-hour lesson on how the game plays. They want me to basically pick the bones out of it and tell them the basics. So that's what I mean about somebody has to read the rule book. Right. Just pick those bits out. Yeah, a couple of little bits of tongue that I've missed off there, so I'll get the pink and we'll come back and do those. It's amazing just picking those few bits out. It starts to just bring it to life a little bit. Right. So, how's everyone's painting coming on tonight then anyway? You all making good progress? Right, I'll get this tongue that's just curled up here. Got that on the screen there. Don't know how I missed that the first time. Because it goes right under here as well. Comes around the side here. How are we doing for time? 10 past 10. It's not too bad, is it? What else did I miss there? Sure, I missed some more bit. Oh, there was another bit. That was it. I knew there was a bit I'd missed. Just comes curling down to the front here. There we go. Paul Inman says he's having a break from his Star Saga project. I'm currently a month ahead of schedule, and honestly I need to paint something that isn't PVC. Good that you're ahead of schedule though, mate. James saying my purple and orange undead Blood Bowl team is looking vibrant. I do love the orange as a colour. Orange and blue I love actually. I love painting those two together. Always looks very sci-fi. Peter says he's painting the hair on the goblins now, then it's just painting the gloves with leather, dumping agrax, varnish and base. Nice one. Ian says he's working on 18 enslaved guardians for Empire of Dust. Early in the process, probably going to be a while till they're done at my pace. I know that feeling, mate. Axanax is finishing off his 5 more succubi from Mantic. Got a lot of greeblies, but not a lot of detail. I know what you mean, mate. I've painted the succubi stuff. Lord Maiden said I'm at the mistake making stage. Also seeing the spots I missed. Cat Smith, good evening, Cat says just put down my painting was starting to overdo the tweaking and tinkering. There's definitely a point where you just go, right, that's it, stop, done enough. You're just going to make it worse. Jez says he's painting the armour for horses, actual horses, not minis. And John says, I should mention the group I played Battletech with liked to get hammered and stoned while we played, so it had to be relatively simple. Yeah, I can imagine Battletech might not be the best game for that one, mate. Right, let's get a little bit of silver, I think, on the thing around his leg. Just to give us something a bit different to do while those bits are drying. Right, let's get into here. Can you see that on the screen? Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I'm in the process of working in the background to get set up ready for when I can have people to come and play games, and trying to get it set up so that there's plenty of space, the cameras are set up and everything. I'm trying to get ahead of things for that magical moment when playing games face to face becomes a thing again, and then I can start to get some filmed for the channel and stuff, because I've never really been like a bat rep type channel, but I think showing off kind of some unusual games and things that don't necessarily get much airtime, I think might be quite interesting. So that'll be it's going to take a bit of kind of free time, a bit of work time as well, but yeah, I think it'll be worth it in the long run. It gives me a better space to film in as well. So more news on that when I've got more to share, really. Right, just coming around and just painting this little bit of broken shackle around his ankle. We'll get a bit of wash in that one as well. Christian sharing a link for Amazon as well. Thank you very much, Christian. If you do shop on Amazon, if you click through my link, it doesn't cost you any more, but I make a small commission. It's a great way to support the channel without spending any more money. And if you're anything like me, you'll be shopping on Amazon on a daily basis. Unfortunately, I can't use my own account to link to Amazon as an affiliate. So I don't get an affiliate payment for my own shopping trips. I wish I did. Right, I think we'll use that same Morghast bone to paint the claws on the feet as well. Jonathan, I'm so looking forward to playing again. I played about 5 outdoor games and 1 inside in the last year. I've had so many new armies and teams painted to play. That's the way to do it, mate. That's the way to do it. Tasty Brain Drain says, sadly no painting right now, as usual. Work for me, so just editing videos. Is that what you do, mate? You edit videos? I don't know if I realised that, mate. I actually quite enjoy editing videos. I try to kind of, every time I do one, I try to teach myself something new. Just keep it interesting. Oops. Axe is okay. Time for me to get the kid from school. Take care, BlackJack Arenos. Thank you very much for popping in, buddy. Always a pleasure to have you in. Marcus is saying, don't forget to drop a like. That'll be very nice. We've got 56 viewers and 37 likes. 57 viewers, I should say, sorry. 58 viewers. Come on, well, I'm sure we can get a few more likes, folks. Jess says, actually did some gaming on Saturday. A bit of gritty medieval RPG. Was a bit odd online, but still enjoyable. Oh, I'll tell you what, mate. Any kind of gaming that we can get at the minute is much appreciated. I've been enjoying our D&D like sort of fortnightly. We've had 2 sessions of it now. All right. And I've really enjoyed it. It's the only kind of social interaction that I I really get. So on top of the fact that I'm enjoying the D&D stuff, it's just nice to have a chat with some of the folks in here. Just get back the camera there. Where are we up to? John says more than once players folded due to intoxication. Peterson, any painting progress is good, right? Of course it is, mate. Even just getting the paints out, you don't even have to do much. Just the willingness, just to kind of to have some time to yourself and just sit and chill. Even that's a positive. Tasty Brain Drain says, yeah, I work for a company that does private investigations and security, and I edit video that investigators shoot. Wow, mate, I bet you see some stuff. Although I bet most of the time it's it's lots of just fast forwarding through video looking for the good bits. John says, there will be always a mid-game break for barbecue. We'll be up after 4. After driving the drunken buddies home. I quit drinking in '96, otherwise I'd be dead. Yeah, we were just chatting about this last night in the Patreon chat. About like sort of when you're playing against almost sort of win at all cost gamers. And I say I used to mainly play my games against my brother-in-law, but when we played, it was always like we always had beer or whiskey or whatever and a bit of food. Like it was like a social event playing a game, as opposed to like neither of us were really bothered who won. Like it was a pastime, it was a hobby, it was a reason to spend time together kind of thing, rather than just going to the pub all the time. Like it's like not every game has to be about the win. Like I used to go to events, like into tournaments and things. Like I do actually enjoy that side of it as well, but it was like it wasn't like what we're talking about was like I used to go to a club where basically most people used like a club night game was essentially tournament practice. So every game they played was like practicing for an event or practicing for a tournament, and that was quite exhausting to play like that, because it meant every game you played was played like at full pace, if you like. There was no time for just playing fluffy narrative stories or just sort of stopping for a cup of tea halfway through, anything like that. Just his spy work, yeah. Inch High Private Eye. Right, we'll clean that off in a bit. Right, I need to do something with that mouth now. I think what we'll do is we'll wash the tongue down with like a crimson wash. Oh, let me just reach up for that one. Edit it, wash it down with crimson wash and then highlight it back up, I think. Jay says that sounds like hard work gaming. Tasty Brain Drain says, I enjoy editing videos too, though it can be tedious sometimes, and there are times where I get a little bummed because instead of living my life, I'm watching other people live theirs. I can imagine it's almost spilled there. I can imagine it almost feels like you're kind of like, yeah, just constantly watching other people, wondering what they're up to, what are they doing. Yeah, I'm saying I quite like editing videos, but let's be honest, the only videos I'm editing on my own. I'm not sure if I'd feel the same if I was editing somebody else's videos all the time. James Zorm, greetings Andy, loving the look of the pink underbelly. Yeah, it's a bit of red on the bottom, mate, and just a bit, it almost looks a little bit like colour changing type stuff. Quite happy with how it come out. It was just meant to be something just quick, really, just to get some quick base coats on it, so I didn't have to spend forever brushing and to try and get a transition rather than trying to do it with a brush and sort of paint it as a very almost like definitive line or trying to blend it in and things. Marcus says, since only half the people in my group of friends drink, we would not play RPGs or tabletop games, but the karaoke machine and video games would be the norm those times. I mean, gaming is a very social thing. I mean, unless you are playing like in a tournament or an event or something like that. And even then, like most tournaments and events I've been to have got an element of like a weekend away with friends type of thing. It's not like, it's not in isolation. Let's be honest, I'm not winning any tournaments. I'm not going to a tournament trying to kind of like win first place. I'm going because it's a weekend to socialise and to play more games that I don't always get the chance to do. One day we'll all get back playing them again. Right, let me get those. Starting to come together. Right. Eyes. How am I going to do the eyes? Let me have a little look at that one. Peter Cooman says, wash spill. One of us. I've done a one with a contrast paint live on a stream before. Let me have a quick look at my pictures that I was looking at before. There we go. So that's what that's what the Malisaurus Rex looks like in the Malifaux picture. So it's much more kind of yellowy and stuff. But I am looking at the eyeball and stuff. I think yellow is probably a good shout just to really get it to stand out. And then I might actually still go around the outside with that kind of sort of reddy orangey. I'm not sure. I think a yellow eye might stand out a bit more. Low maiden saying red there. I don't know if the red will kind of fade into the model itself. So I think we'll try yellow, and if it doesn't work, we can always put red afterwards. Oh. Where are we up to? James says, enjoyed having some drinks with the D&D game. I have to imagine Corel gets more reckless as the session goes on. Not as bad as some though, hey Yoakum? Yeah. Dark Horse Yoakum. I'm not going to go any further than that. Yeah, I didn't have a drink last week. The first time we played, I had a nice drop of whiskey, but I didn't last time because I'd been keeping off the booze. I think I'll have a drink next time though. So, because I've been holding off the drink until it's almost my wife's birthday and it's almost our wedding anniversary. So I've been trying to be a little bit healthier until then. Gets too easy just to sit and drink in the house when you don't go anywhere. Kath says, I saw someone use Uhu glue between the teeth of a beastie to make it look like drool. It looked cool, but not sure how long it would last. I've seen that as well, and it does look really effective. And John saying, white glue or PVA to you folks makes good drool. Just build it in stages. I think with the Uhu glue, you can almost you can string it out, can't you? And if you run do you run super glue down it or something like that? You can make it look like that. We might try something like that. I don't think that's something we'll be doing on a live stream, but we might try something like that. So I'm going to try giving it a yellow eye. So I'm probably going to go a bit quiet here while I concentrate on this. I think we'll put like a black line through it or something like that as well. Like very, very lizard-like. Yeah, I think the yellow's standing out there. I think that's what we wanted. Yoakum says, I didn't do it. Yeah, exactly. We all believe him. Yoakum's innocent. Paul says, the best glue for making drool is impact adhesive, but it's fragile. I did it on a Rancor model from Imperial Assault. I've seen a few videos of different things. But like you say, I think it's probably nice for like dioramas and displays, but I'm not sure how sort of hardy it is in gaming sense. Right, I was gonna do something there. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I was gonna put a wash over the kind of over the stuff around its ankle. Peter says you can use hot glue gun as well. Just touch and pull away. I'd be really worried about doing that kind of stuff in case I screwed it up and then I've just like, because that's the thing you do at the end when you finish painting it, haven't you? Isn't it? Right, I'm just using a null oil wash to get into the chains here. I almost had the urge to start singing chain, chain, chain. Chain of Fools, what a song. Right, let me just get in and dirty that up a little bit. So what's folks' plans for the rest of the week? Everybody got work? Anybody got any time off? Anybody hobbying? You got plans for the weekend? We'll be back again on Monday as well for the Monday night live stream. I'll be working to get some more videos done. John saying, need more big gribblies in my collection, like some Bulgars or a Multilith Vortex Beast or the Slaughter Brute. Be nice additions to Chaos Soup. Peter says, nah, don't touch the model. Touch like a piece of card and pull away. Repeat a few times and pick the strands. Ah, okay, mate. James is saying, doesn't sound fun. I just talk a lot when I have a drink. Luke says, my birthday tomorrow, so we'll try and go for a nice walk somewhere with the kids. Happy early birthday, mate. 21 again. Peter says he's got 2 more days of late shifts. Nice, mate. Gareth says he's hopefully getting out to train search dogs this weekend. Wow, mate. Sounds cool. One thing I love about these streams is we have these chats and you find out everybody that what everybody's doing, and what people do for jobs and stuff like that, and what they do for other hobbies. It's amazing. Luke says 40 looms ever closer. I won't embarrass you, mate, by asking how old you are. I'm 46 this year. Bloody hell. Now I'm starting to feel old. I know I don't look it. Luke says it's going to be a real shock when his mental age catches up. Yeah, it never catches up, mate. It always gets further and further away. John said he might go for a run tomorrow, maybe. Do you do much running, John, or is it a new thing? Is it something that you've just started doing? Right. I think we'll get a bit of a darker green. Let's have a look. Let's go with Lupercal green, and I think I'm going to use that around the lip area. A bit of a darker green. Luke says, I don't care, 39 tomorrow. Just a kid, mate. Just a young'un. You'll never, I was going to say, wait till you get to my age, but you'll never catch me up. That's just how it works. John says he's hitting 54 this year. I didn't think I'd live this long. I know that feeling, mate. I know that feeling. Busey says 40 Lewin this month for him. Almost 40, mate. To be honest, do you know what I found when I got to 40? Life got better. And the reason it got better was because I stopped giving a toss what people thought. Right, I'm just going to pick out these. I think that's the wrong colour green. Yeah, it's far too bright. Let's get something a bit darker. We'll go with a Vulcan green. Peter says, when I turn 40, I want my painting backlog to be gone. 4.5 years to go. Wow. Good luck with that, mate. Scott, 55 this year. I thought you were just a young lad, Scott. John's hit 54 going on 15. Yeah, I know that feeling, mate. Paul says it's a well-documented fact that mentally boys reach peak maturity at 12. That's it. I think I've got more in common with my 4-year-old son than I have with a 45-year-old man at the minute. Right, we're just gonna paint that in, but we'll blend it in. We'll blend it in. Connor, 26 next week. Sorry in advance. Connor, mate. I didn't know you were such a wee slip of a lad. Good for you, mate. Enjoy it. Enjoy it while you can, buddy. There's loads of stuff I wish I had known when I was 26 that I know now. That's for sure. I got married the first time at 26. So yeah, that feels like a long time ago. Scott says only mentally a young lad. John says in my teens I could do the mile under 4 minutes, but 40 years of smoking has killed that possibility. I used to be pretty handy with the athletics when I was younger. I don't do a lot of exercise these days, but it's more due to lockdown and stuff. I used to enjoy going to the gym and stuff before, and before the little one came along, me and my wife used to do a lot of exercise stuff together. That was my main hobby really back then, doing boot camps and charity runs and 10k runs and like Tough Mudder type stuff. But yeah, once the little one came along, we didn't really get the time to do it. That's it. Right, we'll blend that in with a bit of a wash when it dries. Peter says I'm doing okay. When these goblins are done, I'm at 173 painted this year. Bloody hell, mate. Marcus says at least someone in here is younger than me. James says I'm at 1 if you include some bricks. I've got no idea. I don't keep account of how many I've painted. John says I've only finished 17 this year, but I have a batch of stuff waiting for completion. Well, I've just painted all of the Marines from Indomitus, so I don't know how many's in that. What's that, like 10, 15? I can't remember. Let's say 20 off the top of my head, something like that. Maybe it's 22. I've just painted them in about the last 4 days. So, Peter says I got married 22, father at 23. That was cold turkey. Right, so I think what we'll do is we'll get the Agrax, we'll wash that over the claws. Hope Lives says looking bonny that dragon. I've never heard that word for ages. Alright, bonny lad. We'll just darken them down a little bit and just run into the recesses around the claws just to give a little bit of definition. So I'm sure these would not be sparkling clean, and we'll pick out some highlights and stuff. Peter says I can do a mile under 2 minutes, but I don't want to take the risk getting pulled over. James is saying maybe a light dry brush to pick out the scales. I think I'll probably do something like that, mate. Yeah. I had considered doing a dry brush right at the start before I even started painting it, but I'll be honest, I forgot. But alright, I'm going to run a bit. So I just want to darken down that green where I've just kind of run it around the lips and use the wash to kind of blend it to the other bits. Looks a bit weird when it's wet, like, but it'll be alright when it's done. Wash that down a bit more as well. Connor says, I'm waiting for the day I tell someone my age and they don't go, you're still a baby. Yeah, it soon gets there, mate. Especially when you're hanging around with people that are older than you. I would say, I think it happens probably when you hit, maybe when you hit 30. I think people stop calling you a young'un. I think if you're any age where it starts with a 20, people say, you're still just a baby. It's when people stop asking you for your ID. That's when you know you're old. Right, we'll let that dry a bit. Just want to run a little bit into the toes there. It's coming on. It's coming on. God, that looks really wonky there. I think it's because the corks had a bit of an angle. We'll leave that there to dry for a bit. Where's my juice? Oh, still there. Right. Hope Lives says, I'm a Geordie. Well, there you go, Hope Lives. You were that's exactly why he said Bonnie. That's why I said I haven't heard that in ages. Exactly, mate. Connor says, oh yeah, that's just what one. Marcus is saying, what's everyone be up to St. Patrick's Day in 2 weeks? I'll tell you what I'll be up to, mate. Exactly the same as what I'm up to now. Not much. Tasty Brain Drain says, probably wearing my Green Lantern shirt and maybe drinking an Irish beer or two. I might tip an Irish whiskey just in that way. I do like a Guinness, mine, I'll be honest. Peter says, Gareth Lewis says, night all. Good night, Gareth. Thanks for popping in. Peter says, well, probably this, but 2 weeks later. And Martin, I don't agree. I am 34 and people treat me like a teenager, but that might be because I still look like one. That might have something to do with it, then, mate, if you still look like one. John says, yeah, I go a little fast listening to the Altman Brothers at top volume, Hot Lanta for those winding, twisty, up and down country roads. Yeah, look, one thing lockdown has done for me has given me time for my points to drop off my license. Because I ain't been anywhere to be speeding. Blizz says, probably painting more gremlins. Well, that's coming on alright, isn't it? I think what we'll do is we will take a very thin black line through the eyes, make them very much like lizard's eyes. So I need a really fine brush. That one will do me. And this is going to be really steady, steady Eddie. So let's concentrate on this one and one down. Just trying to make sure we get the angle right. There we go. Just zoom in now, so you just darken them down a touch. And what we will do is we'll kind of paint around the outside, I think, around the rim of that. What we will do, just while I think on, we'll get that Agrax Earth shade and we'll drop some into the nostrils. Just to darken them down a little bit. Starting to come together. Starting to get there, isn't it? Yeah, I think James is right about these. We'll pick up some of those scales, I think, with a dry brush, and then sort of just tidy up the purple stuff a little bit more afterwards. I'm just going to run that down at just a little bit of definition there. I won't notice that so much once it's dry. There we go. Peter says, if you're feeling frisky, paint some very fine reddish lines in the eyeball and make them look very angry. Yeah, maybe we'll look at that one as a last ditch one, I think. But yeah, it's I mean, what I would say is with these things, until you do the base, everything else looks unfinished, no matter how much you've finished them. So I will have to kind of come in and do the base, and obviously I'm just going to paint the base the same way I've been painting these ones as well, because I bought all these resin bases together so that they'd all look the same. So just smashed up wooden bases, a bit of green moss and stuff. But yeah, it's coming together. It makes that miniature look tiny in comparison when you see it on camera there. So I think, what time are we at with 10 to 11? I think I'm going to wash my brushes and I'm going to call that. Because I think the next stage now is to kind of move on to some bigger stuff. Picking out them scales, doing the base. So I think I'm just going to wash my brushes while we have a bit of a natter. I'll leave that on the screen for... let's have a look. Peter Coomer says, well, for gremlins, do you only dry brush because you can't get them wet? Nice one. Marcus says, I just checked St. Patrick's Day is on a Wednesday, so we should all paint something green. That hobby hangout. There you go then, mate. We will do that. We need to paint something green for Paddy's Day, and I expect you all to have a suitably Irish drink with you, even if it's just a cup of tea. John says, got a split. Thanks for the stream and chat. Thanks to the great people in the chat. Now off to tobacco country. Wow, I don't know where that is, mate, but enjoy it and stay safe. Thank you very much for coming in. So, those brushes, get them clean. James says, I'll do a green Space Marine. I'll have to have a think about what I'm going to do then. We might even do some shots for Paddy's Day. Some shots of Irish whiskey. John says that's looking sweet. It's coming together, man. I think the purple was an inspired choice, I think. It's kind of setting it off. My old habit of wanting to just bathe the whole thing in an Agrax wash though keep coming to the fore. I keep thinking, oh, I should just wash the whole thing. That'll pick the scales out and then I'll highlight it back up. But I'm trying to resist it. I'm trying to resist it. James says I'll do Peter saying the dinosaur looks ace. Yeah, not looking bad, mate. Thank you. Law means I'll do an orc and goblin dreadball team in water for me. Do you drink it all, Ian? I'm not sure if I asked you this before. Right. Let me just clean that off there. There we go. Right. Pop some of these panes back in. And then I think we'll start to wrap it up. So, folks, Tizzy Brain Drain says, I'll be down for shots. Yeah, we've never had a drunken stream before, have we? Should do one of those. What we should do is, if anybody donates, we should like spin a wheel and see what the wheel says for a Paddy's Day shot or something like that. When is Paddy's Day anyway? Jim says you're forgetting New Year's, Lou. Just because she'd had a few wines, mate, didn't mean I had. I was far too professional for that one. Lord Bain says only fruit teas. Everything else is either horrible to me, like coffee, or wasted calories. I'm trying to lose weight. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, mate. Yeah, I've been that with wasted calories as well. But that's why I drink whiskey now, mate. There's no wasted calories in whiskey. All calories are 100% required in whiskey. I'll put this one back at the top. And I think that's bushes washed. Let's put them back into here. 17th of March. Ah, yes, so it is. Let's put that in there. Peter says, you always say you're not a pro painter, Andy, but damn, you paint bloody neat. I make 10 times as much slips of the brush on a small model. Do you know what it is, mate? Like, I don't think I've got like painting skills, but I am a neat painter, and I think I get away with a lot because I'm just relatively neat with the paint. I think at some point I would like to kind of sort of learn a few more painting skills, but yeah, at the minute I'm happy just to kind of be a neat painter, I think. But thank you for very kind words. Johnson, 2 weeks today, yeah, 17th of March. Yeah, it's my wife's birthday on the 15th. It's Mother's Day. Is it the weekend after the 15th? Is it 17th? Oh, yeah, the 15th, the birthday's on a Monday. Live streams on the Wednesday, which is the 17th. I think it must be Mother's Day the week after. And then it's our wedding anniversary at the end of the month as well. Joachim says, good night, folks. Thanks for the company. Thanks, Joachim. Hope Liv says, that's how you measure how good something tastes. Calories. I know what you mean, mate. Connor says, I could partake in a Guinness from the can for the stream, obviously. Oh, it would be a shame if not, mate. I'm either going to paint something black and white to represent Guinness, or I'll paint something green, I think. But yeah, let's do something. 14th Mother's Day, is it? That's what it is. I knew it was. I thought it was either the weekend before or the weekend after, and that's when it is. Yeah, so her birthday is on the 15th. So yeah, Mother's Day one day, birthday the next day, wedding anniversary the end of the month. I'll tell you what, the things you do for the one you love. Lobin says, I want to do a promise where once I go below 19 stone, I can open the Cursed City box. If I ever go above 19, I have to give it to someone. You could just put the lid back on it, mate, and just not touch it until you drop the weight again. You'll do it, mate. Stick at it. You're doing great. Stick at it. Yeah, everyone's telling me I was wrong. Don't get it wrong, otherwise I'm in trouble, kind of thing. Nice one. Right. Mark's the same. Mother's Day is in May. Yeah, it's always in March, mate, in the UK. It's weird that we don't have Mother's Day on the same days. Peter says, isn't there a leprechaun model for Malifaux? I remember seeing something like that. I could maybe try and find like a little leprechaun. This is going to sound weird, but are leprechauns racist? Are you allowed to have leprechauns? Yeah, always scares the Yanks when we start talking Mother's Day. Nice. Right, folks, I think we're going to call that one to a halt then. So, thank you very much. Thank you to all the new Patreons who've joined tonight. Tony Boovliden, that one sneaked in, mate. I didn't see that happen. Thank you very much, Tony Boovliden. I just glanced up there. He's just upped his pledge level as well. I think Tony was actually my first ever Patreon. So thank you very much if you're listening to this, Tony. You've been there since day one. You've kept it going all this time. And now you're amongst the high funders now, so thank you very much. Christian's just sharing the link there for Patreon. Thanks everyone that's donated. Thanks everyone that's kind of liked the video, joined the what's it called again, the YouTube member program and things. It's all massively appreciated. Hopefully the stuff I've been working on, I might get edited and get it up this week. If not, it's probably going to be next week's, because I've still got some voiceover work and stuff to do for it as well. But I'll definitely be back on a Monday with another Monday night live stream, and I'll see the rest of you folks. I'll see you in the Patreon chat in Discord. So take care, folks, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it, and if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month. And there is lots of different tiers and bonuses which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.